بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين، حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. قال الله تعالى في كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
One of the greatest blessings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has bestowed upon us is the blessing of time. Something that many people do not have, time. Something that for many people there's no barakah in it, there's no blessings in it. This time, every second, every minute, every hour that goes by, this is a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to me. And this is a gift that can be taken away from me, just like it has been taken away from billions of people that have left. Last year there were people with us, this year they're not with us. A week ago there were people here, now they're not here. The blessing of time is one of the greatest gifts that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. And this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swears by time. Wal asr. Sometimes He swears by the moon. Wal qamar. Sometimes by the sun. Sometimes by other creation. This time, wal asr. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He wants to tell us something very important. So He uses time because it is one of the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wal asr. Inna al-insana lafi khusr. Indeed, man is in loss. And Allah uses time to swear that man is in loss. Because every single moment, every single second that passed, this is a second that we cannot retrieve. This is a time that we cannot go back. That's it. That hour that passed, I could never go back to that hour. And that hour that passed, it is proof that I'm in loss. Because I'm constantly getting older. I'm constantly getting closer to my fate. I'm constantly getting closer to the afterlife. Getting closer to my death. Ya ayyuhal insan, innaka kadihun ila rabbika kadhan famulaqih. O human, you are striving, you are struggling towards your Lord, and ultimately you will meet your Lord. Ultimately, you will separate from everything, every attachment that you have in this life. So, wal asr, inna al-insana lafi khusr. Indeed, man is in loss. Because every second, every hour, every minute is a minute that works against me. Except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us exceptions. إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. Except that hour that passed, if it was an hour that you spent it with iman, an hour that you spent with belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Rasulullah, then that hour is an hour that will not work against you. إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ. Always we see that with iman comes amal salih. Allah always in the Quran does not mention iman by itself. You believe, but you have to act upon your belief. You have to act upon your belief system. وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ. Did good deeds. وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ. And you stand up for righteousness. You stand up for what's right. وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. And you are patient. Those are moments, that is a time that will not work against you. That is a time that that hour that passed, it will be an hour that you will be proud of. Other than these four things, it will be a time that will be gone. Now, what is one of the ways that we all waste our time? This gift that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, one of the ways that we all waste our time, this precious time that Allah will ask me about on the Day of Judgment. Rasulullah says in a hadith, لا تزول قدم عبد يوم القيامة حتى يسأل. On the Day of Judgment, no one will be allowed to move an inch until they are asked عن عمره فيما أفناه وعن شبابه فيما أبلاه. Two things that we will be asked about is about our life. Allah will say, I gave you 50, 60, 80, 100 years. What did you do at that time? عن عمره فيما أفناه, and specifically وعن شبابه فيما أبلاه, during the time of your youth. Maybe some of the adults, they say, no, I'm too sick, I'm too tired, I can't go to Hajj, I can't go to masjid, I can't go ziyarah, I can't do what I'm supposed to do. Yes, there's no blame on you, you're old now. This is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks a specific question to the shabab. وَعَنْ شَبَابِهِ فِيمَا أَبْلَاهِ. Now, what is one of the ways that we all, young, old, rich, poor, today, alhamdulillah, everyone, waste their time with this method? And that is the method of using social media. The method of social networking. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. So many new apps coming out, new websites coming out every day. These are all methods that many of us waste many hours of our time with. And we forget that that time that we are spending is a time that we will be asked about. Today's statistics show that 63% of Americans log on to Facebook at least once a day. And 40% of Americans log on more than one time each day. Some people, one time is not enough. Just like you have Subh, Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, Isha, or prayers. Some people, they have to log on to their Facebook, the Twitter, the Instagram, the social media accounts as many times as their salah, as many times as they connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There are over 1.65 billion, 1.6 billion Facebook users. This is more than the population of many countries. More than the population of many countries put together, continents. There are Facebook users that use these social media. Now, there's nothing wrong with having a social media account, with having a Facebook account, Twitter. These accounts, there's nothing wrong with them. However, it could potentially become a problem once it becomes an addiction. And once it becomes an addiction, then it will bring about greater problems. It will bring more problems later on in your life. Now, no one will come and tell you I'm addicted to Facebook. Find me one person that will say I'm addicted. Usually, rarely, you will find someone who will actually admit that they're addicted. But how many people, if you want to find out who's addicted, see if you could take away someone's phone, someone's internet, someone's computer from them for 24 hours. How many people could tolerate that? How many people could be separated away from these gadgets for 24 hours? And then if you really want to test someone, their iman is very strong, they're not very addicted, take it away from them for 1 week. See what will happen to us. That is how you can tell if someone's addicted. Otherwise, it's the same way with someone who's addicted to cigarettes. Someone, 30 minutes, you take away a cigarette from that person, he's going to be completely fine. But then you take it away for 1 day. Then you take it away for 24 hours. You take it away for a week. Then you will see the problems will arise. Now, studies, and this is not what religious scholars are saying, this is what experts say. Studies say that the addiction to social media, it brings about many problems. One of which is a psychological problem. You see, so some people, you see them, you're sitting, the phone is not ringing, they're not doing anything, there's no need to check the phone, but you keep bringing out the phone and you look at it, just looking at it. This is one of the signs of an addiction. We do this all the time. Sometimes we don't have anything. There's no call, there's no message, there's nothing to check. Just bring out the phone, just look at it, just make sure there's nothing going on, then you bring it down. This is a psychological issue. This is related to the way the brain works. Now it's become an addiction. Now it's become a habit to constantly look at my phone, to constantly resort to my phone. Anytime I'm in a struggle, anytime something happens, I rely upon a small device that lives off of a 6-7 hour battery. What happens if that battery dies? What happens if there's no internet? What happens if so many things happen in my life? What will happen to me? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala equipped us with so many powers, equipped me with the mind, with the intellect, where I will not be relying on so many things. But today I'm working towards relying on a computer. Another psychological effect is, experts say that someone who is addicted to the phone, addicted to social media, you see that they have a lack of sleep. There's a sleep problem. Why? Because usually the phone is by your head. Where you're sleeping, it's in the charger, by your head. And then every hour, every 3 hours, 2 hours, you hear the buzz, you hear the sound. It constantly, look at it, you're checking, and some people, they can't even open their eyes and they're looking at their phone. And this, what it does, is it takes away your sleep. It takes away your sleep. For me, the day that I put my phone away from my bed, that day I could sleep better. The day that it's next to me, I feel that I wake up, I'm tired, and I can't concentrate. This is something that experts talk about. This is one psychological effect. And then there's the social effects. You see, many times, what are these gadgets used for? What's social media? What's the point of social media? So that we could be connected, we could socialize. It's a network of networks where we are all connected to one another. However, the point of social media is to connect, but then you find sometimes in a room, 6, 7 people, 10 people, they're sitting, and everyone is on their phone. Everyone is looking on their phone, no one is talking to the people next to them. The whole purpose of social media and networking is to be connected with people. But we find that when we are connected with people, we're actually distracted. We're actually pointing and looking at our technology, looking at our phones. And it distracts us away from one another. And then you find that it also has biological and health problems. New studies that are emerging, they say that the gadgets, the iPad, the phone, these smartphones, what they do is they alter the development of the child's brain. And we find that many children, 3 years old, 4 years old, 2 years old, they know how to use these gadgets very well. It alters the brain, the way that the child thinks. It will be affected because of what they see and what they're used to holding for at least 3 hours a day. This is what studies show. At least 3 hours a day, people are holding on to their phone, to their tablet, to their gadgets. This has an effect on the mental development. It also has an effect on the obesity. You find many children, before 10 years ago, 20, 30 years ago, children would go out and play. They would go out and run and play sports. Today, alhamdulillah, sitting in front of the gadgets or in front of the television and entertaining themselves. Well, this does have an effect on someone's health. It has an effect, and this is what experts talk about. Now, of course, there's no doubt that there's a lot of positives that come out of the social media, out of these tablets and these smartphones. Otherwise, you wouldn't see people using them as often. One thing that it does, it's a source of knowledge, a source of education. Today, anything that you want, right away you go to Wikipedia, you go to Google, and even when it comes to Islamic questions, right away you resort to Ayatollah Google or Hujjat al-Islam Facebook, and you will get the answers. So it's a source of information, and there's nothing wrong with that. We find many people, especially during the month of Ramadan, during the month of Muharram, listening to lectures. The lectures that are being uploaded every day, listening to the lectures. That's a very positive impact of the social media, of the tablets, of social networking. Another thing we see is political movements. Today, especially the past few years, many revolutions in the Middle East, they say that the credit to that revolution goes back to Facebook. It goes back to these social networking sites. The hashtag movements. They've actually helped movements grow. They help connect people, connect minorities, connect people who wouldn't have a power to speak with one another if they didn't have that. However, regardless, the dangers of social media and social networking are also very great. And if someone is not careful, you will find that the social media and social networking, it has the potential to destroy someone's life. It has the potential to destroy someone's marriage. It has the potential to bring apart, separate families. Today, studies by matrimonial lawyers, the American Academy of Matrimonial Lawyers, 4 out of 5 lawyers, they said that they reported an increasing rate of divorce as a result of Facebook. 4 out of 5 divorces. One of the reasons that is pointed out as a main contributor to the divorce is Facebook. This is something that, according to the American Academy of Matrimonial Lawyers. Why? Because the internet, it's a place that's open to the world. And the family and marriage, it's supposed to be a private affair. It's supposed to be a private relationship. But sometimes, and many times, you find that this private life, it's being brought out to the public life. And then that will cause problems. That will have an impact on the private life. That will have an impact on the private relationship between a husband and his wife, between children and their parents, between family members. You see that it affects what's outside, it affects the inside of the family, and it leads to divorce. Because the internet, there's no privacy when it comes to the internet. And many times, there are people, they have the habit of posting everything that they do in their life, from the food that you ate, to the vacation that you went on, to the clothes that you wear, to the places that you went shopping. Everything that one does in their life is posted on to the whole world to see. Now, this might not be a problem for some, but when you keep posting everything for the world to see, then what are you going to leave for the family? What's going to be so special for the family? And especially with some who actually post pictures and images of themselves, some of the ladies especially, because here the society, it's used to materializing the woman. When a lady, she posts her whole body to the world to see, what's going to be left for her husband to see? What's going to be left for the private life? If everything the world can see, then what's so special about that marriage? What's so special about that relationship? We see that one of the main reasons that families are breaking up and breaking apart is because there's nothing special, nothing exclusive for the family. Everything has been displayed for the whole world to see. And then we also see, on the other hand, there are certain individuals that have an obsession with seeing what others post online. Every day, some people, they log on, and then they go, they write this person's name on Facebook, on Twitter, and they want to see what's new. What happened with that person? What did that person do? What did that person eat? What did that person wear? Where did they go on vacation? This also leads to destroying the families. It leads to destroying your identity because you're constantly looking at what other people are doing. Constantly looking at what other people did. I went on a vacation, but no. I saw the other people, they went on a nicer place. I'm not happy with where I went. I bought a car. I see that this person, they posted, my neighbor, they posted a car as well. They posted a new outfit. They posted a new watch. They kept doing things. And then I keep seeing what others have. That will take away the satisfaction from the family. Because I'm constantly seeing what other people have. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَلَا تَمُدَّنَّ عَيْنَيْكَ إِلَى مَا مَتَّعْنَا بِهِ أَزْوَاجًا مِّنْهُمْ زَهْرَةَ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا لِنَفْتِنَهُمْ فِيهِ وَرِزْقُ رَبِّكَ خَيْرٌ وَأَبْقَى. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, don't stretch your eyes. وَلَا تَمُدَّنَّ عَيْنَيْكَ إِلَى مَا مَتَّعْنَا بِهِ أَزْوَاجًا مِّنْهُمْ. Don't constantly stretch your eyes to what others have. Be content with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you. Be happy with the life that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you. وَلَا تَمُدَّنَّ عَيْنَيْكَ إِلَى مَا مَتَّعْنَا بِهِ أَزْوَاجًا مِّنْهُمْ زَهْرَةَ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا لِنَفْتِنَهُمْ فِيهِ. Sometimes, some people, they say, why does this person have and I don't have? Why does this person have a better job than me? Why does this person make more money than me? Why do they have a nicer house than me? Why do they have a nicer car than me? Having more money, having a nicer car, having a bigger house, that is not the scale of Allah's satisfaction. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not going to be more satisfied with you if you have a bigger house. He's not going to be happier with you if you have a faster car. This is our skill. This is the world's skill. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He looks at the taqwa. He looks at the faith. Inna akramakum عند الله أتقاكم. The one who is closer to Allah is the one who has the most piety. The one who is content and satisfied with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given them. But when we constantly look at what other people have, this will create an addiction, first of all. You're constantly looking at what others have. And second, it will take away that little satisfaction that you have. It will take away the little happiness that you have. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi says in a hadith, مَنْ نَظَرَ إِلَى مَا فِي أَيْدِ النَّاسِ طَالَ حُزْنُهُ وَدَامَ أَسَفُهُ. The one who's constantly looking at what's in other people's hands, this person, his huzn, his sadness, it will increase every day. Because you're never going to be able to have everything that others have. Never. This is the dunya. This dunya, it deceives you. It distracts you from Allah, and then it kicks you, and then it leaves you without having anything. This is this dunya. This is from a hadith, of course. Ad-dunya taghur wa tadur wa tamur. It deceives you, it distracts you away from Allah, and then it leaves. It forgets all about you. How many people who were so attached to this dunya, they were so attached to this life, they left. Fir'aun, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us numerous examples. Individuals who were so attached to this dunya, they couldn't let go. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us the example of one of the relatives of Prophet Musa, Qarun. Qarun, he was one of the relatives of Prophet Musa. He used to read the Quran, he used to read the Torah in a very beautiful voice. He was very religious. But because of this dunya, because of his love for wealth, because of his love for this dunya, he refused to believe in Prophet Musa alayhi salam. He refused to accept Prophet Musa, and until he died as a disbeliever, as a non-believer, because of his attachment to this dunya. So constantly looking at what other people have, one of the ways that we're constantly looking at what other people have and what other people did is through social media, through social networking. You're constantly seeing pictures of other people. Where did they vacation? Where did they check into right now? What did they do? Constantly looking at what others have, this takes away your own satisfaction. Another danger of social media is that it creates a false sense of connection. You see that relationships, they're not real. They're not genuine. As I mentioned earlier, we're sitting 6 people, 10 people in the room, everyone's looking at their phone. Everyone's distracted with their phone. There's no real connection. There's no real relationships anymore. And you see that even when we're sitting with people, even if we're talking to them, because of the smartphone, because of the social media apps, the mind and the heart, it's with other people. The mind and the heart is constantly thinking of other people. And many people, because of the social media, they have deceived themselves thinking that they have these type of friends. And they have brought themselves away from the rightful friends. There are some people, you tell them, how many friends you have? He says, Alhamdulillah, I have 500 friends on Facebook. Is that really a measurement, a real scale? Is that a real scale of identifying how many friends you really have? Who your real friends are? No, that's not the real scale. Just liking someone's picture, that doesn't mean that this person is my buddy. That doesn't mean that this person is my real friend. Yes, friendship, according to Islam, according to the Hadith, it has many requirements and many conditions and many responsibilities. And we see that also a negative impact towards friends, towards socializing, is the gossip. Gossip, one of the ways that it's facilitated is through social media. It's through social networking. Many people, they log on just to see what others did, what others have, and then they could go and talk about them. They could go and talk about what she was wearing, what he did, how they went, how that wedding was, what people were dressed in that wedding. This is what it is. This is one way. Another social way that social media brings you back, it lags in the social realm, it's that it deceives people, making people think that they are actually participating in events. It's called #activism, where my only way of being an activist, my only way of supporting a cause, my only way of supporting, for example, Muslims that are being killed all over the world here and there, is through going on Facebook and hitting like. I hit the like button on that page, and that way I have fulfilled my responsibility. I have fulfilled my duty. Alhamdulillah, I did my share. Is this really all that we have to do? Is this really what Rasulullah meant when he said, "Man bata walam yahtam bi umur al-muslimin falaysa minhum"? He who sleeps and he does not care about the matters of the Muslims, then he is not from them? Is this what the religion of Islam teaches me when it tells me to care for human rights, to care for people suffering, just to go and like a page, or to go and do something just with one button? Is this my share of activism? No, unfortunately that's not enough. The share of activism, it has to come on a greater level. We see that people before us, they used to go and protest, they used to speak out, they used to do things. Today with one like of a button, that's my way of showing that I care. Yes, that is good. However, you have to do more. That is not enough. And that is not sufficient. You have to do more to show that you care. Now, these are all dangers of social media that arise at a social level, at a psychological level. However, the greatest of dangers is the one when it arises at the religious level, at the ethical level. When, as a result of social media, my akhlaq is gone, my religion is gone, that's when it becomes a danger. That's when I see a red flag. That's when it becomes an obstacle to my faith, an obstacle to my religion. You see, many times, the rules of hijab, the rules of modesty and chastity are broken, not in the masjid, not outside in public, but they are broken behind closed doors. They're broken when someone is alone in a room talking to someone probably in another continent, in another country. But the rules of hijab, you see that it might still be broken. And this is why when we speak about hijab, some people, they think hijab is only what's apparent. It's only the appearance. when it comes to a barrier, a wall, a partition, and the actual hijab that's worn. Yes, this is one very important dimension of hijab. However, there's another dimension, and that is the inner dimension. That is you focus on the exterior and the interior. And it is the inner dimension that blocks someone from looking at haram, even when they know that they could look at haram. It is the inner dimension that blocks people from chatting and saying things that may be inappropriate while they're hiding behind the computer, while they're using social media. And that inner dimension, it comes from taqwa. Taqwa, it's refraining from sin. Taqwa, it's constantly realizing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching me. And this is one of the times during the month of Ramadan, one of the opportunities where we could increase our taqwa. Ya ayyuhal ladhina amanu, kutiba alaykum as-siyam kama kutiba ala alladhina min qablikum la'allakum tattaqun. Fasting has been inscribed upon you, just like it has been inscribed upon people before you, so that you may reach taqwa, so that you may have piety. We see that many times. There are certain individuals, probably in the masjid, in public, in front of people. No, they're not going to look at any haram. They use all the barriers of hijab, all the barriers of modesty and chastity are used. But then you see the lack of taqwa. As soon as this person goes home, it will be very easy to disobey. It will be very easy to look at haram. And you see that social media, it's one of the means of facilitating. It's one of the means of allowing people to break the barriers of iffah, the barriers of chastity and modesty. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells the Prophet, tell your wives, Ya nisa an-nabi, O wives of the Prophet, Ya nisa an-nabi, lastunna ka ahadin min an-nisa, in ittaqayna fala takhda'na bil-qawl. فيطمع الذي في قلبه مرض وقلن قولا معروفا. O wives, O women of the Prophet. And this is, scholars say that this is not exclusive to the wives of the Prophet. This is to any woman who follows Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi and accepts Rasulullah. Ya nisa an-nabi lastunna ka ahadin min an-nisa. Of course, this part it's exclusive to the wives of the Prophet, but the ruling, it's in general. You wives of the Prophet, you are not like the other women. In ittaqayn fala takhda'na bil-qawl. When you speak, do not speak in a way that is seductive. Do not speak in a way that will seduce other people. Why? فَيَطْمَعَ الَّذِي فِي قَلْبِهِ مَرَضٌ. Because perhaps the one who has sickness in his heart, this person will come and will be seduced, and this person might do haram. Now you see this argument, it comes up all the time. Sometimes you hear from some people saying, why should the sister cover up? Why should women wear hijab when the men should lower their gaze? The men, if they have a problem, that's their problem. They should not look. Yes, of course. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that the men, they should not look. And Allah speaks about the hijab for the men before speaking about the hijab of the woman. Oh men, lower your gaze. However, does that not mean that I should protect myself? Today we live in a society that there are millions of people in prison. Many of them are in prison because of sexual assault, because of their predators, because of rape, because of these crimes. Does that mean that if the man has a problem, then I should not protect myself? This is not common sense. If that was the ideal society that we were living in, then you would see no one would lock their doors, no one would put a password on their bank accounts, no one would care for any of that. Because why should I protect myself when the others, they have to not do anything haram, they have to not steal, they have to not look at women in a haram way, they have to, yes. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells men, you have to lower your gaze, you have to watch yourself. However, the woman, the female, they have to also protect their modesty. And the men have to also protect their modesty. Because Allah says, فَيَطْمَعَ الَّذِي فِي قَلْبِهِ مَرَضٍ. There are certain individuals, and Allah does not say it's all necessarily the men. Sometimes it's the women. فَيَطْمَعَ الَّذِي فِي قَلْبِهِ مَرَضٍ. Sometimes there are certain individuals that they have a lack of iman. They have social diseases, they will be seduced. And this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, O wives of the Prophet, even when you speak, you see sometimes certain individuals, certain women, they speak in the house with a voice that is very manly. But then outside, they bring their voice so soft. This is a voice that creates seduction. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, do not make your voice in that soft way when you are in public, when you are in front of strangers. فَيَطْمَعَ الَّذِي فِي قَلْبِهِ مَرَضٍ. So now we go to social media. Is it halal for a man and a woman who are strangers to talk to one another, chatting for hours, for no reason? There's no work that they're working on. There's no schoolwork. There's nothing that they are required to be talking to one another. And they're not related to one another. And they're not married to one another. Scholars say no, it's haram. There's no reason. There's no reason that talk, if it passes the boundaries of socializing, just the simple socializing, saying salam alaikum, how are you, inshallah you're doing well. Other than that, then it goes talking about personal issues. And they're not looking to get married, this becomes haram. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, O wives of the Prophet, do not make your voice soft so that people are not seduced, so that someone is not seduced. Talking for hours and hours, this is more. This will seduce people, and this will bring people away from the iffah, away from the chastity, that the whole purpose of religion and the whole purpose of faith, the whole purpose of hijab is for the sake of chastity and modesty. We see Prophet Musa alayhi salam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us a beautiful story of Prophet Musa. When he left Egypt and he came to Madian, he saw the daughters of Shu'aib. He went and he helped them retrieve the water. And then the daughter of Shu'aib, she came to him. Her father had sent him to come and invite Prophet Musa. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes in the Quran, تمشي على استحياء. She came with istihya. She came with iffah. She came with chastity. She came with that haya. And haya is a word that's very hard to describe in English. It's actually the feeling of hijab, the feeling of iffah and chastity being embodied. She came, she tells him, my father, he calls you, he says, come to the home. The hadith says that she came and she started walking in front of him. Then there was wind, and the wind, it made her dress show the figure of her body. So Prophet Musa alayhi salam, he told her, you walk behind me and you tell me the way. You walk behind me and you tell me the way, because it is inappropriate for a man to look at the backs of the woman. It is inappropriate for a man to look at the bottoms of a woman. And he walks in front of her, he tells her to point to the direction, to say the direction, which way should he go? So we see that this is what the religion of Islam instructs us when it comes to modesty and chastity. And this should also be practiced when it comes to social media. But today we see that many of the rules of hijab, they're broken. Sometimes just by sending those emojis, you know, the wink, the heart, the emojis. This is one of the signs, this is one of the ways that could probably send a wrong signal. It could send a wrong message to someone. Maybe the person who's sending it is innocent. They do not mean anything. But how do you know the person on the receiving end? How will they accept it? How will they view this? And this is probably one of the ways that hijab can be broken when it comes to the social media. Now, another dimension of the social media, many people, they say, I use social media, I use Facebook, I use Twitter, I use my Instagram, I use all of these social networking sites for what? For the sake of religion. To guide people, to learn about my religion, and that's the only purpose that I have. This is excellent. If you use it for the sake of your religion, for the sake of guiding people and being guided, there's nothing wrong with that. As I mentioned earlier, there are many lectures, there are many books, there are many ways that we could strengthen our iman, strengthen our faith, strengthen our religious knowledge when it comes to social media. However, the problem arises, sometimes you see that people who are not experts, they come, many times you see a hadith is posted, they go and they take it from Shakespeare, and then they say Imam Ali said this. Just to get likes, just to get retweets. How do you know that this is the authentic hadith? And when it comes to hadith, many people don't know this. It's haram to say a hadith that the Imam did not say. This is called al-kadhib ala Allah wa rasulah. This is lying. Saying something and attributing it to Allah, to the Prophet, to the Imams. And especially if it's done during the month of Ramadan, it will break your fast. Someone saying, Rasulullah said this and Rasulullah did not say such a thing. Amir al-Mu'mineen said this and he did not say such a thing. This is why we have to be very careful where we get our hadith from, where we get our religious knowledge from. Just relying on Google and relying on the internet, sometimes it's not enough. You see our scholars, they go and they study for decades until they come and they write a book of hadith. They write a book mentioning a hadith, 40 hadith. After they become a marja, after they become scholars for decades, they're in the hawza, then they come and they write a book, 40 hadith. Where we see some individuals, every day they're distributing a hadith. Now, of course, there's nothing wrong with writing a hadith if you receive that from Nahj al-Balagha, if you receive that from a book that is an authentic source. But you have to know where the source is. You have to know where you got it from. This is one problem when it comes to the religious dimension. Another problem, you see many individuals, they come and they want to have Twitter wars, Facebook wars, religious wars online, in the social media. As soon as you see someone that you disagree with, no, you're haram, this is haram, you're kafir, this is not right. And they come and they try to defend the religion and defend the faith while using the internet and using social media. Now, of course, there's also nothing wrong with that if the person knows where they're getting their knowledge from. If a person knows where they're getting their education from, their sources from. But many times, you see certain individuals that do not have that expertise, do not have that knowledge, but yet they come and they're debating and they're arguing with other people online about God, for example, or about faith. If you do not have the knowledge, you could probably potentially cause more damage than do good. The damage could be greater. This is why we see that the Imams, Imam al-Sadiq and Imam al-Baqir and the other Imams, sometimes they would tell their companions, do not argue with them about religious matters. Do not argue with this group of people about God, for example. We have many ahadith, many narrations where the Imams, they would tell their companions, do not sit and argue with people about the essence of God. Because that could probably bring people to disbelief. It could probably bring people away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We also see that the Imams, they had certain companions. They would allow, for example, this companion to argue and debate when it comes to fiqh. This companion, they would allow them to argue when it comes to chemistry and when it comes to sciences. When it comes to others, when it comes to, for example, ideology, aqidah, and ilm al-kalam, they had certain and specific companions that they would tell those companions, you have the right to speak. The others, they do not have the right to speak. This is because the Imam, they want to preserve the knowledge that the Imams are spreading. If everyone comes here and they act like a allama, like a scholar, everyone is issuing fatwas and verdicts, then you will see that it will not be clear. Many people will be deceived and many people will be distracted. This is the social media, the challenges of the social media. However, if it's used when it comes to the good ways, if it's used in a way that preserves someone's faith, preserves someone's hijab, preserves someone's akhlaq, and brings someone closer to Allah, there's nothing wrong with that. We have to in fact use all of the means necessary to spread the religion of Islam, to spread the teachings of the religion of Islam. And this is something that we have to use, especially right now, in this time that we live, where the religion of Islam is constantly under attack. We have to use all of the means necessary to defend the religion of Islam, to teach people about the essence of the religion of Islam. But if it's not used in that way, then there will be many potential dangers. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to preserve our chastity, to preserve our faith, to preserve our akhlaq, to bless us and bless our time, the time that is very precious, the time that is very sacred, this time that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us. This is a very sacred time. For many people, they lose time. For many people, their time has no productivity whatsoever. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make our time productive. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu ala Muhammadin wa ala ahli baytihi at-tayyibin at-tahirin.